One of the biggest challenges people face with investing isn't choosing the right stocks or funds, it's having the money to invest in the first place. A recent study found that 43% of Brits say they simply don't have enough money to invest. Even more concerning, 65% say they wouldn't last 3 months without borrowing money, meaning they have little to no disposable income. And yet, restaurants are packed, new product releases sell out instantly, and flights to holiday hotspots are almost booked solid, like we're not in a cost of living crisis. There's a growing divide between those who seem to have disposable income and those who don't. Some seem to have endless spending power, while others seem stuck, unable to get ahead. Personally, I sit somewhere in the middle. I'm not a huge spender, but I always have enough to invest, enough to save, and enough to enjoy my life when I want to. That's because over the years, I built simple financial habits that have allowed me to reach a net worth of over £400,000 by age 35. I'm not saying I've made it by any means, but I think I've got myself on the right path, and I know you can too. So in this video, I'm going to share some powerful savings habits that could double your savings in just 6 months. So let's get started. The first thing you need to do before anything else is look for anything that's crushing your savings. And this can be the silent killer: debt and interest. Now, believe it or not, I'm actually not going to tell you to focus on paying off debt first. The reason being is if you focus on paying off debt without having an emergency fund, you end up in a cycle of borrowing. An unexpected expense comes up and you're borrowing more money to deal with it, perhaps at an even worse interest rate than the debt you already had. The last thing you want to do is end up in a vulnerable position, so build an emergency fund of a minimum of 3 months worth of expenses first. Think of debt like a hole. Some debts are a shallow dip in the ground, while others are deep craters that can take years to climb out of. The key is knowing which debts are quicksand and which ones are just small obstacles in your path. Because not all debt is created equal. Some debts actually work in your favor, while others are actively draining your future wealth. So we want to identify good versus bad debts. Examples of bad debts are things like buy now, pay later, payday loans, which some have insane interest rates of over 1,000%, credit card debts. Now, there's good and bad credit card debt, but if it's a debt rather than something you plan to pay off at the end of the month for points, it's typically bad. Then you've got car loans. Unless there's a valid reason for having one, they're pretty bad. I would always recommend paying it off in full, or if you can afford to, arrange your own finance with much more favorable APRs. On the other hand, you've got your good loans, things like your mortgage if it's for your home, and student debts. While I don't think they're good, I wouldn't worry about paying these off, at least in the short term. That's a topic for a whole other video. You might also have loans from family or friends or other small debts you've incurred, and you can decide where these fall depending on your circumstances. From there, you want to write down the APR associated with each of these. Now, there's 2 good ways you can tackle this. The smartest way to tackle these financially is the debt ladder. You want to arrange your debts from lowest at the top to highest at the bottom. And what you want to do is climb that ladder by making minimum payments for each, but aiming to lump sum and target paying off one debt at a time. For example, if you have a credit card at 24% and a car loan at 8%, you focus on the credit card first. The pro of this method is it saves you the most money in the long run, but the con is it can feel slow as high interest debts can take longer to clear. So in essence, climbing the ladder might feel slower. Now, an alternative strategy, if you're more motivated by quick wins, is something called the debt snowball, which might work better. This time you want to list all of the debts from the smallest to the largest balance, and again, make the minimum payments on everything and throw all extra money at the smallest debt first. Once it's paid off, roll that money into the next smallest debt. So if you owe £300 on a store card and £2,000 on a credit card and £5,000 on a car loan, you attack the £300 first, then the next largest until they are all cleared. This isn't mathematically the best option, but it can seriously help the mental motivation as you get quick wins by clearing debts faster. Now, I'd like to think that for the most part you aren't struggling with debts, but we really can get there much sooner than we think. We're only one bad decision away, but the most important thing is recognizing your situation and having a clear path out of it and not just burying your head in the sand. Now that's out of the way, let's talk about something that's helped me more than anything else, and that is looking poor. It might make you laugh, but if you were to see me on any given day, you would probably think I was poor. I mean, my new neighbors must definitely look at me with my hair down, my bright yellow Crocs covered in paint, and my baggy sweatpants and think, who the hell is this guy? But despite my appearance most days, I generally don't look like I've got money. My car's coming up on 11 years old, I buy clothes on sale, secondhand for the most part, and it's very rare you'll find me with anything flashy. That's not to say I don't spend. Case in point is I've just spent £300 on a slushie maker, but I don't gloat money on things that don't bring value to me either. So let's talk about why looking poor is such a power move. So here's the thing, most people don't actually get richer as they earn more, they just upgrade their lifestyle. It's called lifestyle inflation, and it happens so gradually that you don't even notice it. You buy a nicer phone, then suddenly your old headphones feel outdated. You get a new car, and before you know it, the thought of a budget holiday feels like it's beneath you. It's something called the Diderot effect. It's named after the French philosopher Denis Diderot, who wrote about how acquiring a luxurious robe led him to replace his old possessions with more expensive ones. Essentially, one purchase creates a domino effect, pulling you into an endless cycle of upgrading everything to match your new standard. More money doesn't mean more freedom, it just means more expensive problems. And that's where the paradox of choice makes things even worse. The more money you have, the more options you need to consider. Should you get the Tesla or the BMW? Should you go to this exotic country or that one? Which designer clothes should you buy? More choices just mean more stress, decision fatigue, and regret. People assume that wealth makes life easier, but too much choice can actually make it exhausting. That's why a lot of financially independent people choose to live below their means. This is called voluntary simplicity, and it's the idea that by rejecting lifestyle inflation, you're actually increasing your financial power. When you're not caught up in looking rich and keeping up with the Joneses, you avoid the stress, the pressure, and the endless cycle of spending just to keep it up. It always makes me laugh when you see someone with the latest car, and I wonder to myself what earnings I would actually have to justify spending that much on a depreciating asset. Probably much higher than I'd like to admit. 9 times out of 10, it's how much do you want to spend on a car contract. The amount of people I see these days with over £600 per month on car finance is crazy. But the truth is, looking poor isn't about deprivation, it's about control. When you dress simple, drive a normal car, eat out for a reasonable price, and don't chase designer labels, you're not trapped by expectations and that drain on other people's wallets. And ironically, it's what allows you to build real wealth while everyone else is spending theirs. So next time you feel the urge to upgrade, ask yourself, are you actually improving your life or just adding to the spending trap? Because people who master this are the ones who actually get ahead. If you really want to take control of your spending, the best thing you can do is write it all down, separate out your spending into 4 categories. Your essentials, these are non-negotiables like your mortgage or rent, utilities, groceries, and basic transportation. Your needs, and these are things that generally improve your quality of life like a reliable car, internet, or work equipment. You've got your wants. These are things that you would like to have but could do without, like eating out, streaming subscriptions, and gym memberships. And then there's your nice to haves. These are luxuries that add really zero value but make things feel nicer, like designer clothes, high-end gadgets, or upgrading to the latest phone. Once you categorize everything, take a hard look at the last 2 sections. Are there things that you're spending money on that aren't actually improving your life? And what could you cut out on without feeling the impact? And when you break it down like this, it becomes a lot easier to see where your money is actually going, or which expenses are keeping you stuck in that spending trap. Smart spending isn't about cutting everything out, it's about working out how to make your money work for you, rather than just draining it down on things that don't matter in the long run. It makes me laugh because people always use the analogy that you need to cancel your Netflix and eat less avocado on toast, like that's going to solve all of your problems, but the basic principle of checking out what you're wasting money on or subscriptions that you might have that you shouldn't be paying for are well worth taking a look at. Now that we've saved some unneeded expenses and eliminated debts, the next thing you need to do, which is perhaps more important than ever this year, is make sure your savings are protected. This year is quite an unusual one because it's the first tax year after a long period of low interest rates. What this means is now people are getting a reasonable amount of interest on their money. We're entering the first tax year where that money will be due as tax. And believe it or not, the amount you can have invested before paying tax isn't all that much, so it's quite easy to go over this limit. There's something called a starting rate of savings, which lets you earn £5,000 of interest without paying tax. But this vanishes if you earn over £17,570, so this won't be applicable for most people. After that, any money you get as interest is treated like income. You could earn £1,000 in the basic rate before paying tax on it, and only £500 if you're in the higher rates. So while you'd be getting 5% in interest in the higher bracket, you would only have had to have £10,000 in savings to go over that limit. Now there's a few ways you can protect your savings. First, and the easiest, is to go for a cash ISA, because any money you have in there, the interest you gain won't be subject to tax. If you do need a cash ISA, one I personally used is is Plum, who have been kind enough to sponsor today's video. With Plum, you can earn a competitive interest rate while keeping your savings completely tax-free, meaning more money stays in your pocket. The best part is it's super easy to set up, and you can transfer your existing ISA without any hassle. And right now, many people don't realize that they could be maximizing their savings just by switching to a better account. The UK's ISA allowance is £20,000 per year, and if you're not using it, you're potentially giving free money to the taxman. They're currently offering a chance to earn up to 4.81% variable, but this can change, so do check the latest rate. You can start saving with just £1 and know that your money is safe as it's FSCS protected, and they use bank raid protection to protect your personal information, and your money is held with authorized banks, Lloyds and Citibank. So if you want to grow your savings faster, tax-free, check out Plum's Cash ISA today. It's simple, smart, and designed to make your money work harder, and best of all, the app is really well designed, so it's really nice to use. You can sign up with Plum today using the link below to get up to £10 cashback when you sign up. Your other options are to consider either a lifetime ISA or a SIP, but you'll need to think about access to your money. If you need it before pension age, you'll be better off using the Cash ISA, although one exception is if you plan to use it towards a property. A lifetime ISA is a no-brainer as long as you're outside of London. If you're inside London, just look at how much you will need for a property. But one of the most impactful things you can do to build your savings is to develop healthy money habits. Small, consistent actions that make a huge difference over time. Here are some habits that can help you save more, spend less, and grow your wealth. First is to automate your savings. Set up a direct debit deposit into a savings or investment account each payday so you're consistently saving without needing to think about it. Second is you can try no spend weekends or weeks. Challenge yourself to go a full weekend or even a week without spending money outside of the essentials. It will help reset your mindset around spending. Third is to set spending rules. Create guidelines for spending, like waiting 48 hours before making non-essential purchases. Next is you can try roundup savings apps. Use banking apps that round up your purchases to put your spare cash into savings. You'll be surprised how fast that can add up. Next, which I'm a really huge fan of, is meal planning and cooking at home. Planning meals in advance and cooking at home not only saves you money, but it also reduces food waste. And another big one that I've been doing recently is take out coffee, because coffee is ridiculously expensive to buy out now, with a cup of coffee costing in some cases £4.50 upwards. Just grab yourself a takeout cup you can make at home and it will really stack up. Next, I would limit subscription services, audit your monthly subscriptions, and ask yourself, are you really using all those streaming services and gym memberships? And last but not least is cash-only budgeting, and some people use envelopes for this, but try using cash for spending to help control your purchases. It's so easy to just spend money now, one click of your phone, or you just tap your card. If you actually have the cash in your hand, you do think twice about those purchases and set a more realistic budget. But the key to financial success isn't about making one big change, it's about consistently making small, smart decisions that add up over time. The more you can automate and simplify your finances, the easier it becomes to stay on track and build real wealth, because it will add up before you even realize it. And my final tip, which I think has really helped me and hindered me, so take it with a pinch of salt, but it's to realize the power of compound saving. And by this, I mean, if you look at a compound interest calculator and you type in your average return of the stock market of say 7% to be safe, set your additional contributions to none, and set the year until the time you plan to retire, say 20 years if you've got that much time. Now you can see for each of the savings you make how much that can compound in the long run. For example, a £100 saving is actually worth £400 in the future, which is huge. And if you were to put that in a SIP or a lifetime ISA, you get an extra 25% on the money you contribute, so you can boost that to £125 and £500 by the time you retire. So when you think of it like that, a small saving now is actually worth a lot more in the future. In this case, 4 times the saving. I say this because a lot of people get demoralized by thinking it's not worth making a £100 saving, but it actually really is if you put it to good use. And the more time you have, or the more you save, the more impactful that is. Now I do warn, however, please do take this with a pinch of salt, because it can hinder you. Because imagine thinking, if I spend £2,000 on this dream vacation now, it's actually worth £8,000 in the future. And that is true, but the truth is you only live once. This isn't a trial run, and you probably won't enjoy that dream vacation as much as when you're retired, as more than likely you will not have the same health as you have now. So it's really important that you do find balance, and honestly, it's why I don't cover saving all that much, because it can be really helpful as a tool, but also as a hindrance if you go too far the wrong way. It's all about finding balance, and something something I'm still working on to this day. It's not something you get to a certain point and think I'm 100% certain now, as life is always evolving and changing. If you found something that's really helpful that's helped you save or get out of debt, please share them in the comments below, as they really do help other people out. And if you want to take a look at something else I think you'll find really helpful, check out this video right here and I'll catch you over there. Thanks.